American cars. The MB-27C Cadillac 60 Special was appropriately released by Lesney in 1960, and the first colour scheme of light metallic green and white roof is extremely rare. In fact, one such mint and boxed model has been seen for sale in a London collector's shop priced £260. The second issue was painted in a silver grey colour with an off-white roof. This variant, which again is quite scarce, can be found with either clear or green-tinted windows. The majority of MB-27 Cadillacs were released in a metallic pink livery with a creamy pink roof, and again can be found with either type of window component. The very last runs of Cadillacs were afforded either grey plastic or black plastic wheels instead of the normal silver plastic wheels. Although the rare metallic green model was only packaged in the Type B box with white legend, the silver and metallic lilac models were packaged in Type C and D. MB-39B Pontiac convertible was released in the early part of 1962. By now, the USA was Lesney's largest overseas market. The first issue Pontiac in a metallic violet colour is now quite a scarce colour variant. Two wheel-type variants exist, either silver or grey plastic wheels. Soon after release, the Pontiac was recoloured to a primrose yellow. Two colours of base plate, crimson and black, exist, and yellow models can be found with silver, grey or black plastic wheels. Although there are three types of box associated with the MB-39B Pontiac, the purple model was only ever packaged in Box C, whereas the primrose yellow model was packaged in types D and E. Reflecting the great appeal of televised American police programs, Lesney decided in 1963 to introduce an American police car. The MB-55B Ford Fairlane police car stayed in the range for only 3 years. The first run of production models in a non-metallic dark blue colour is now rare. All subsequent runs found the model in a metallic dark blue colour. Although the non-metallic Ford was only ever fitted with black plastic wheels, the metallic model has been found with silver plastic, black plastic or grey plastic wheels. Note the door badges too. All dark blue Fords and many of the metallic models were decorated with badges on a white background. All later metallic models were afforded non-white background decals. Both colour variants are to be found in the Type D box. Following on from the MB-31A American Ford station wagon, which had been issued between 1957 and 1960, was the MB-31B American Ford station wagon. It was introduced in 1960 in yellow and was fitted with a crimson base plate. This yellow colour variant in mint boxed condition commands a healthy premium today, especially in its early version without windows as shown here. Sometime before the 31B was deleted in 1964, the model was recoloured, as can be seen, to an attractive metallic green with a pale pink roof. Boxes associated with the MB-31B are types B, C and D. Commercials, vans and lorries. Vehicles decorated with advertisements were always popular as dinky toys, and Lesney were quick to realise that the majority of the companies approached were all too willing to contribute towards the cost of the decals. Vans and lorries that appeared in the range between 1953 and 1969 include all these. The first van to feature a sliding driver's door was the MB-69A 30 hundredweight van, which was released in 1959. Although the Nestlé van was in the range for 6 years, it was towards the end of its production life that it was recoloured to a bright red. This is now a relatively rare model, and a mint boxed example sells for about 50% more than the maroon variant. Grey plastic wheels are the norm, and 3 different sizes have been recorded. Also of note is a colour trial model in orange, which can be seen in the Chester Toy Museum. Box types are B, C and D. The MB-59A Ford Thames van, measuring 56 millimetres, was in the range between 1958 and 1963. It too was released in 2 distinctive shades of the same colour. Early pale green models lacked cast-in decal guidelines on the cab doors. The rarer model is the darker green Singer van, which can be found with either grey plastic or silver plastic wheels. The Type B box is the correct box for the MB59A. Although far from being rare, the MB37A and the MB37B carrier Bantam 2-ton trucks have always been popular because of their Coca-Cola decorations. The MB37A was introduced in 1957 and, like its successor, measured 57 millimeters in length. Releases were in either a bright yellow or an orangey yellow color. At the time, Lesney had these two shades of yellow, and as someone in the paint shop, yellow was yellow. Early models are easily recognizable by the uneven assembly of bottle crates in contrast to the later, more uniform load. Two sizes of side decals were also applied by the Lesney workforce, but neither is rarer than the other. Metal wheels were the norm, but final releases in 1959-1960 saw the inclusion of grey plastic wheels. The MB37A was packaged in box types B and C. In 1960, Lesney introduced the modified model, which came with a black base plate. The MB37B was only ever released in this yellow color. Two differently sized rear decals were used until the model was withdrawn in 1965. Note the three types of wheels: grey, silver, or black plastic. Boxes C and D are the correct boxes. The MB47A 1-ton Trojan van released in 1958 evokes great nostalgia. Although all models were finished in red, shades do exist. Box types are B, C and D. In 1960, a Guy van, the MB46B in Pickford livery, joined the range. A new play value feature was the opening shutter-type rear door. The three-line inscription model in dark blue was the first issue. It's now known that Pickford's commissioned Lesney to produce a revised decal with just two lines in 1962. This variation was given away by Pickford's to favoured clients and is relatively rare today. Both types of dark blue vans can be found with either grey or silver plastic wheels, but the two-lined decal is only associated with the modified body casting. Note the new vertical lines on the container front and the inclusion of the word Guy above the radiator grille. During the mid-1960s, the van was recoloured to green. Towards the end of the model's life, Beale's, a Bournemouth-based department store, purchased 3,000 unpainted models from Lesney's, and these were later painted up, decorated and boxed. They were eventually given away to customers who spent above a certain sum in their stores, but now cost a pretty penny when seen for sale. Box types for the MB46B are B, C, D and E. The MB38 carrier refuse wagon, length 61 millimeters, was released in 1957 and remained in the range until 1963. Of the three distinctive shades of grey, it was the first and last production runs of grey, brown and silver models respectively that have since become scarce, especially the variant with silver plastic wheels. Box types B and C are found. In 1963, Lesney's released the MB47B, Ice Cream Van. The first release was in a distinctive metallic blue colour, and this variant is quite scarce. The more common colour of non-metallic blue can be found with three differently sized ice cream vendors, due to Lesney using three different interior tools. Again, three differing advert decals were used: a large and a small Lion's Maid decal, and a Nielsen's decal. The roof adverts also differed, as can be seen here. The same decals, with the exception of the large side type, were used on the later repainted model. Of note is the pre-production model with flange rivets at the front and rear, and the different coloured interior shown at the centre of this display. Box types are D and E. Heavy-duty vehicles and tankers. There was always a good representation of road-making or heavy-duty road-going vehicles in the Matchbox series, and here are some of them. So let's look in greater detail at some of the more memorable heavy-duty Matchbox miniatures, starting with the MB27A and 27B Bedford Low Loader. Measuring 78mm and always packaged in the Type B box, the MB27A was issued in 1956. This light and dark blue version is extremely rare and is one of a small batch of colour trial models that were boxed up and retailed in the normal way. The other colour scheme of light green cab and light brown trailer was in production until 1958 and is relatively common. The much creamier brown trailer with silver plastic wheels is hard to find. In the same year, Lesney revamped the Bedford, and although the first colour scheme was identical to its predecessor, it was considerably larger at 95mm. This particular model is now quite hard to find. It was issued with either metal wheels or grey plastic wheels. By 1960, the MB27B was recoloured to a dark green cab, and although the trailer remained brown, there are two distinctive shades of brown. As with the 27A, the MB27B was packaged in the Type B box. The first European truck to appear in the range was the impressive-looking MB30B Magirus-Deutz crane truck, issued in 1961. The very first models were painted in a tan shade of brown and fitted with either a red or orange jib component. This variant is extremely rare, and in mint and box condition, well, it's a matter of naming a price. In the range for 4 years, a vast number of minor castings were made to the silver-coloured model. Grey, silver and black plastic wheels were fitted to the truck, and the colour of metal hook changed from orange to silver and eventually to grey plastic. Associated boxes are types C and D. The MB26A ERF cement mixer, which was introduced to the range in 1956, must have been a child's delight with its revolving barrel. Although it can be found with different coloured trim and a choice of metal wheels or grey or silver plastic wheels, there's nothing particularly unusual about it. The same cannot be said of its replacement, the MB26B Foden cement mixer, which was released in 1961. To the delight of collectors, the very first issues featured either a dark or light grey barrel. These models are seldom seen for sale and are classified as being extremely rare. This colour of plastic was quickly replaced by an orange that matched the colour of the body. The standard all-over orange Foden was released with grey, silver and black plastic wheels and was packaged in box type C, D and E. One of the rarest colour variants is the green tanker as shown here. This was replaced by a short run of yellow tankers, and as can be seen here, there are two distinct shades. The darker model was the earlier release. The commonest tanker is the red one, which was fitted with either a small or large rear SO decal. Measuring 52mm, the MB11A is to be found in the B-type box. In 1958, Lesney's introduced a much larger tanker which stayed as an SO vehicle until 1964. Very early models were afforded gold trim. Silver-trimmed models were released with metal wheels, then grey plastic, silver plastic, and last-run models in black plastic. Box types are B, C and D. The beautiful MB10C Foden 15 tons sugar container model was released in 1960. The rare variant is the first release model which sported a crown on the rear of the tank. All subsequent runs without the crown can be found with grey plastic, silver plastic or black plastic wheels. Boxes are B, C and D.